Part 2 of jumping over the fence to serve Taylor Swift. Let's get into it. And I have some things to clear up because some people that aren't from the area are starting to get some things confused. So I just want to clear everything up so everyone's on the same page. For starters, the local news stations are starting to cover the trespassing ordeal. So here's a few things. The details that they're leaving out add more questions than answers. The Kansas City Star states that officers arrived at 2:16 in the morning, September 15th. A man was arrested who was charged with criminal trespassing. Although information on the police report was heavily redacted, the address is Kelce's. Now remember, I was able to confirm that from the police crime map. So they're saying on here that the police report was heavily redacted. And no, they don't mention anything whatsoever that he was there to serve Taylor Swift or that he had papers of any deposition papers or anything like that. They do not mention what his motive was to be there. They do confirm that yes, his name is Justin Lee Fisher. But here's the thing. Some people are getting him confused with a man from Missouri that is also named Justin Lee Fisher that is on the S offender list. That is not the same person. All that they say is that he was arrested, he was charged with a misdemeanor of trespassing, and then he was released after he posted bond. When the Kansas City Star does mentioning the attempt of serving Taylor Swift, they specifically state that this information is according to Star Magazine, which leaves everyone to believe that that information is exclusive to Star Magazine. So again, how did they receive that information? How do they know that information? Because as stated from Kansas City Star, the police report is heavily redacted. If that was something that was in the, police report, Kansas City Star would have mentioned that and would have also just highlighted that that's something that the Star Magazine noted, but they would have said it in their own words as well. They did not do so. They do not mention that that was information that was on the police report. That's a very key detail. For clarification, this is the man that people are getting confused with. This is not the man that was arrested for jumping over the fence. He was arrested, yes, on the same day, coincidentally, but the reason for it was because up here it states that he was overdue payments. That was it. Now, I do believe that I did find the man that did do this, but I'm not going to reveal his identity because it isn't something that has been officially made public other than his name. So something that I noticed was on the 15th, this is something he shared on his, on his social media. So kind of setting the mood for maybe where his headspace is, keeping in mind that, the public post that Taylor has made for Harris, maybe that was something that was on his mind. But then I saw this. Why would a grown man share this? Unless he was maybe a Stalker fan as well. Just a thought. Now, if I am correct that this is the correct Justin, he posted and shared something on September 15th and then did not share anything again until 13 hours ago, which would match if he posted bail. Just a thought. This wouldn't be too far off from Taylor's other stalker that is apparently allegedly missing currently. This is who he is. So for some reason, older men have been stalking Taylor Swift. Not sure why. I'm just going to chalk it down to mental health. These are the kind of posts that she was having to deal with. I am so sorry, Taylor. Now let me just name and list out some of the things that jump out to me, shall I? Number one, first and foremost, the local Kansas City news stations, whether it's Kansas City, we would have covered this first, not someone from New York. I 100% promise you that. Within a few hours, we would have all known about it. So this makes no sense right there. That's like the biggest red flag. Number two, next biggest red flag, why this New York magazine has this exclusive information that is completely exclusive to them. Not even the Kansas City Star has. From they said, a heavily redacted police report. How do they have that? And how did they know to request that information? And, like I said, the sheer coincidence that it's 6 minutes away from the Van Zandt address that was listed for their business. You know, big question, big question. So, and then it seems like, okay, were you trying to do this as a scare tactic to, scare Taylor Swift into silence because you know that this is a trigger for her? Or is it that this is a crazy stalker and this has nothing to do with Blake or, Justin? I don't know. But it's like, again, how would the star even have this information to begin with? So it circles back to some way, somehow, someone in New York, and I'm looking at these two, someone let them know. Okay? Not sure who. Honestly, I'm completely torn between whether or not Taylor is in on this or not. It feels like it could be 50-50, or whether or not Blake and Taylor are still friends, whether they're not, whether this is all some like behind the scenes chess game. I have no idea. I truly do not know at this point. Because if Taylor doesn't want to be involved and she wants to remain a neutral party, why hasn't she said something to some degree, whether it's, hey, Justin tried to serve me in this outlandish way, or that, Justin had nothing to do with this. He reached out saying he had nothing to do with this. Everyone is oddly quiet. Like even Justin's team is oddly quiet. They haven't said anything. Granted, I've seen some people make really great points that anytime they say anything, Blake immediately runs to Judge Lyman and is like, sanction. Look, it's all a PR stunt. So I understand why they would probably want to remain silent. I don't know. I feel like everyone is backed into a corner right now. And it's like, someone say something, like give us something. But at the end of the day, this is Blake. This is Blake's lawsuit. Where is the SH claims? Why is it that every single piece of information that could possibly give us any leeway to be like, oh yeah, Blake is actually the one telling the truth. Like we messed up. It's Blake. Blake was the one that was right. She hides it. We seal it. Or we just say, oh, we don't want to do that part. I don't want to, you don't need to investigate into that. Don't worry about it. Then why are we here? Like, I genuinely don't know. And then there's no witnesses that are coming up and being like, I saw this, or I also experienced this. This is driving me nuts. And I feel like that's why we're all just like burnt out from this case, because we're just waiting for some actual evidence at this point. Like, okay, if Blake is the one telling the truth, then give us the freaking bombshell evidence that's going to just like blow our minds and be like, oh my gosh, how did we miss this? Come on. Like, there's not really much information Justin can give if he didn't do anything. Like, do you want me to give you tissues of air? I'm not sure what you want here.
Like, you're absolutely crazy.
Okay, I'm crazy.
I do want to mention that Star Magazine has had a past of blatantly lying in their magazine. They've had lawsuits from Katie and ended up settling, issuing a whole apology. So keep that in mind. As always, this is all alleged, so take it with a grain of salt. Let me know what you think and follow me.